Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin. Thanks for joining me today here on the YouTube. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff that helps out the YouTube algorithm. And if you don't see our videos every day, it's because YouTube is not showing them to you because we put up videos 6 days a week. And so that's, if you got to hit that little notification bell, do so. If you don't want to do any of that stuff, just tune back in, just search for us and tune in daily. That's fine as well. I understand you not wanting to participate in the madness. And speaking of madness, have you ever tried to collect Mexican silver medals? For a lot of you, the answer is no, but stick around and pay attention because you're going to learn something anyways. Today's topic is a books review by Frank Grove. For those of you who collect silver Mexican medals of any kind, actually, you may or may not have heard of the Grove books. And these books are one of the few numismatic books that if you look for them online and you find them, they're still pretty expensive. Out of print for a long time. These guys will cost you $100 to $200 each, generally speaking. But for anyone who's really specializing in something, this is the type of thing that happens with the entire coin market. You have a book that was published 40 plus years ago, and then all of a sudden you look up one day and they stopped printing them, and people look for them. So Frank Grove did just yeoman's work. He did a good job putting this stuff together. So this is actually volume 2, is the white volume. Volume 1, you don't see as much. Volume 2 you see the most of because that's for medals dated 1821 to 1971. This volume 1 is the medals of the Spanish kings. And this one's the least used. You can tell this thing looks like brand spanking new compared to this guy that has bookmarks in it already as we go through it. And so what you're going to find in here is pictures that are generally going to look like pictures that were taken in the 60s and 70s, right? Maybe in the 80s here on these guys. What's interesting, this is actually book number 481 out of 800 in their second publication, copyright 1976. And you've got a preface in here talking to you about the scope of work, the dating, and the size of metals. So there's a lot of little things that go into this up front with some acknowledgments. But once you get into it, you start looking at a lot of different silver medals that have been produced over the decades, millennia, centuries, in whatever order you want to put that into. And very, very cool stuff. So some guys you're used to seeing, like Carlos IV, Carlos V, Ferdinand VII, but in metal form. The most commonly used book is going to be this one here, of course, like I was saying before. This is the type of stuff when you're looking up coins on metals on eBay, you'll see Mexican metals. A lot of them are going to be in this book. What's interesting to me about this book is the way that it's divided up. This is a 2,500 of these produced in 1972, and this book is divided into events, personages, Masonic, expositions, commercial, and religious, scholastic. So they're topical personalities. Personages. I already said that. So it's interesting. The way they divided this was actually by topic. So that you're looking for something from an event or from some commercial use or, specific people or scholastics. One of the most interesting, there's a lot of very beautiful Mexican medals that are put out that are scholastic in nature. So they're put out by a university and very cool stuff. The volume 3, Medals of Mexico, specifically for orders, awards, and military decorations. So, of course, the red, green, and white, a nice grouping here. This is one of 1,000 produced, not numbered on this one. Also, this one's produced in 1974, and with a lot of. This one's also almost like brand new, compared to that white book. So you've got different periods of time. So here's like the Revolutionary period, and then you have some specific to different categories like the Army, the Republic, Cámara de Senadores, Celebridad. Anyways, lots of things in here. Very, very cool. Last but not least, something that's like way off the hook, a book that you don't see very often at all, is the Grove book on tokens of Mexico. Now, if you haven't thought about this for a little bit, I mean, it's not a super thick book, but it's a pretty good size book just on the tokens of Mexico. And I've mentioned this other book at another time, this Mexican paper money book, because it has a bunch of little tickets and paper items that were used as money. Of course, this book covers the metal versions of those, so which are just fascinating pieces. This book was issued in 1989, and if you have never seen early Mexican tokens, hacienda tokens, they're just super wild. Now, this has some of my favorite art style to it when it's actually a drawing instead of a picture. I really like it when they do a nice little drawing of something versus a picture. I find it really interesting. And anyway, you want to talk about a rabbit hole, and I've talked about that before, going down the collector rabbit hole. You thought there was just Mexican metals out there to collect. You thought there's just Mexican coins or paper money. You get down into the tokens, you get down into specific events, specific people. There is 1,000 rabbit holes in pretty much every coin market, and Mexico is one of them. And there's just some fabulous stuff for collectors in there. If you can find these books, they're usually, like I said, $100 to $200 online from what I've seen, except for that Mexican paper money book, which is something you can find usually for 40 or 50 bucks on eBay. But there it is, folks. These are some of the great books that you can get into if you want to learn more about collecting Mexican metals and tokens. Thanks so much for watching. Leave your comments down below. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.